Hi everyone, welcome to a replica Airguns video. I've got a paintball pistol review for you today, a little bit out of the ordinary. This is really my first paintball pistol. I do have an AK-47 styled paintball rifle. I'll put a link in right now if you want to check out that review of another paintball product. But today we're going to look at the RAP4 RAM X50. Now this gun is actually made by Umarex and redistributed by RAP4. It's basically a copy of a Sig P226. Now this gun is a little bit hard to find in Canada. It's a bit of a gray area when you get into the .43 caliber paintball rounds. The larger caliber rounds seem to be a lot easier to import, but again, our Canada Customs gets a little bit sticky with certain products, and this is one of them. Now, I didn't purchase this one in Canada. I barter traded with another replica gun collector. I actually traded a blank gun for this gun. But I've had this gun on my radar for some time. Now, as I said, this gun shoots .43 caliber paintball ammunition. It can be either the paintball or rubber balls, and I have shot both rounds through them. It seems to work just fine. It uses 12-gram CO2 cartridges. This gun is a blowback gun with a metal slide and a polymer frame. This gun has 9-round all-metal magazines. This gun weighs about 2.2 pounds. It's single and double action and has a claimed feet per second of 250 to 300 FPS. And as I said, it's a pretty accurate replica of a real Sig P226. Now the primary reason this gun was made was for law enforcement, to be a tool to recreate a safe training environment with as much precision and realism as possible. But again, this gun can be used in regular paintball wars if you want to do that. It does have an effective range of up to about 60 feet. As you can see, it comes in this nice case. This case actually was provided with the gun. Nice texture on the outside. You can see here RAP4. I know it's upside down. Hammerelli. Pretty nice case. All foam lined. Now mine came with 3 magazines. There's one in the gun. 2 additional magazines. I'll show you those later. I also got some lube here. Lubrication. There is a barrel cleaning tool as well for cleaning any paintball residue out of the barrel. And I also have this piece here which goes in the barrel just to indicate that it's safe. Not really sure how much that's going to do, but anyways. Alright, so just to show you what the actual paintballs look like, this is what they look like. The top one is actually a rubber ball, and the bottom one in orange is a paintball. I tried them both out. They both seem to work pretty good. So at this time we're going to do a bit of a walk around of the gun, look at some key parts and components. Now this gun does have a metal slide, locks back. Now mine, when I was shooting it, didn't want to lock back on the last shot, but for the most part it worked just fine. It does have a decocker here. Interesting, all these are metal. So the decocker's metal, the magazine release is metal, the slide catch release is metal. The takedown lever is metal, although I couldn't get it to work. It doesn't seem to be functioning. So taking this gun apart, I'm not going to do a field strip because I couldn't find an easy way to do it. I couldn't find any information on it at this point. I'm sure you can take it apart, I just haven't figured it out yet. The trigger is metal. You'll notice that the safety is actually on this trigger. Kind of interesting, a little bit odd, but that's the safety. So when it's red, obviously it's fire. We have some branding on the handle, X50. We also have some branding on the slide here, X50. Got your rail, accessory rail here. Pretty nice looking gun, polymer frame. Alright, so let's take a look at the other side. Not a lot going on here. We do have the open ejection port. Again, pull this back. You can see here, you can see right inside, and you can see we have our caliber there, as well as our serial number and the model number. There's also a little bit of instructions here, warning instructions, and again we have some more branding on the actual grips. You can see here your safety. Push it through on the other side too. Right on the top, not too much going on. There's your ejection port again, and you have your sights, white dot sights. They're pretty nice. And the rear one is actually adjustable, so you can actually adjust it for not for windage, but you can adjust it side to side. Basically, you just have to tap it around. There's no screw involved there. You just tap it. Now the hammer do it from this side a little easier. It's single or double action, and it does have a half cock, so if you want to take the pressure off the actual firing pin, you can do that. So single action, double action, and there's like a half cock. Not really a half cock, but just a bit of a safety built into the hammer if you want to keep one in the chamber ready to go. Alright, looking at the bottom, we'll take a quick look at the magazine here. Now before we get into the magazine, this is your cylinder chamber. The whole part comes right out. You put your CO2 in there. Pretty straightforward. This is all metal. Feels like an aluminum metal. Now you put the CO2 in there just like you normally would. Tighten it back up. Now the downside to this, the upside is it's really easy to load and it's nice and firm, but the downside is it does take a little bit away from the realism. If you want to use this gun as a prop, you can always remove this and use it as a prop. Now the magazine itself is all metal. It's quite nice. Loading is easy. You can just pull this down and pop your BBs in there. Well, not BBs, your paintball in there. Not used to reviewing paintball guns. All metal, very solid magazine. Works quite well. Now we also have our accessory rail here, mounted on the polymer frame. Quite nice. Now getting to the front of the gun, what I like about these paintball guns in 43 caliber is it's like right between the size of a 40 cal and a 45 auto round. So very realistic size opening to the barrel. Gives you that little bit of added realism there. So at this point I'm going to compare my RAP4 RAM X50 to some other SIG style guns that I have. Now the first gun, very popular, Cybergun Sig Sauer X5. And you can see here, both of these guns are very similar. Now I don't have an exact P226 replica or other gun similar. The X5 is a little bit different. It doesn't have the decocker, but you can see it's very similar. Now the X5 also has a safety there, whereas the safety is on the trigger of the RAM X50. But you can see very similar design. Now I'm going to show you another gun that's sort of between the two, and this is my real Norinco NP34. Very nice gun. Obviously been safety checked. Always safety check my guns. Okay, this is my real. Now this one has a decocker as well, so that's a little bit more realistic compared to the two. Norinco does make a 226 copy with the accessory rail and a little bit longer. You'll see that the Norinco is a little shorter because it's the compact version. But both guns are very similar. Now as far as grips, everyone always asks me about grips. Will grips fit? I wouldn't doubt it. I bet you these grips will fit on the RAM X50. So you could try that. Alright, so I'm not going to do a field test at this point. This is just the tabletop review. I know I was doing some tabletop field test reviews all in one, but I've kind of caught up. Got through a bunch of the guns that I needed to review. I've still got some other ones to do, but I'm at the point now where I feel a little bit shorter and more focused reviews is the best way to go. So if you're watching this review and you're complaining about me not shooting it, that's because it's a tabletop review, okay? The shooting review will come later. So hold on to your panties there and just wait for the next one. Now I have shot this gun, so I can give you just my 2 cents on how it shot, how it performed. And it did pretty good. It shot very well for me with both the paintball and the rubber balls. I got, I'd say, close to 4 magazines. I shot 3 magazines through it because it does say that you get about 30 shots, but there was significant CO2 left over. And I actually dry fired it about 4 or 5 times, no problem. And then when I released the CO2, there was a lot left. So I would say this gun can get at least 4 magazines. Now I was taking my time while I shot it, but I also wasn't taking all day with my shooting either. Now this is a used gun, and I found that my slide was not locking back after the last shot. Now the reason for this could be that there is a little bit of wear here on the slide. That's where the slide catches. Now it catches fine, but it doesn't seem to want to catch on the last round. So it's hard to say what was causing that at this point. But these guns are supposed to lock back after the last round. Now I did find that the accuracy was pretty good. Obviously not as good as BB or airsoft. Paintballs have a little bit of a tendency to move around a little bit. They do have seams on them. They do catch a little bit of turbulence, but pretty much hit whatever I pointed at. Now I wasn't shooting at pop cans or anything. I was just shooting at targets and trees and different things, and it seemed to track pretty good. Again, if you're watching this video, there will be a full field test review of this gun down the road shortly. Alright, so let's talk about some pros and cons. This gun has good weight and a solid feel to it. I like the fact that it has a full metal slide with a nice heavy blowback recoil. It also has nice large all metal heavy magazines that add to the robustness of this gun. And again, it's a pretty accurate copy of a real Sig Sauer P226, other than the fact that it has the cylinder coming out the bottom and the lack of the branding. Now, another thing I like is the fact that everything works pretty much like the real gun. So if you're going to use this for training, it would make an excellent training tool. Now, even though this gun is a little bit hard to get in Canada, it's fairly affordable in the US. And I will hopefully be putting a link to make this gun available in my US Replica Airgun store, so check for a link in my review on my website at replicairguns.com. Also check in the description to this video, there'll be a link there to buy it. Now again, this gun seems to have pretty decent accuracy and also got a fair amount of shots. I actually found that it got more shots than claimed. I didn't mention the trigger, but the trigger in single action is very light, and it also has a pretty nice feel in double action. Now the RAP4 RAM X50 did have a few cons. Now the first con would be the CO2 cylinder, the way it sticks out a little bit here. Not a big deal, but it does take away from the realism. But when you offset that with the barrel being a little bit more large caliber, that adds to the realism. So they kind of cancel each other out. Now again, my slide did not lock back after the last shot, and from what I read on this gun, it's supposed to lock back. So that could be a wear issue. It is also possible that maybe my slide isn't kicking back all the way, although the trigger is being cocked into single action and everything seems to be working, rounds are being chambered. It just doesn't want to lock back after the last shot. Not a big deal. There's a noticeable difference in the sound when you're shooting it, so you can tell when the gun's empty. Now the last thing I want to mention as a con is the RAM X50 doesn't field strip conventionally. Now I have watched some other videos on how to field strip other RAP4 similar guns, but I couldn't find one on this exact model. So I'm not sure how to field strip it at this point. I would have done a video if I could, but I have a feeling field stripping this gun is a little bit more complicated than I like it to be. Alright, so that wraps up this review of the RAP4 RAM X50, made by Umerix, distributed by RAP4. Hope you've enjoyed this video review. Don't forget to come down to replicairguns.com and take a look at my full review online, where I will also have some more pictures, maybe some more information that may have been left out in this video. I hope to have this gun available in our US Replica Airgun store by the time this video goes up. If not, it'll be there shortly. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Also check me out on Facebook and Twitter. Username is Replica Airguns. Thanks for watching another Replica Airguns video. Until next time, take care.